Hello and welcome to Broken Entertainment. So, one thing I'm going to start doing on Sundays, and this video is going to be different because I preempted it with my DC Comics video this week, but I'm going to begin releasing videos on Sundays about uh, my writing process, my goals, what I'm doing, and also just general writing videos are going to be focused on Sundays. Today, I want to talk about the inspiration behind my fantasy novel, what got me started on it, what pushed me into the direction that I have taken so far. And I think if you look around for inspiration, you can find quite a lot. And that was kind of what I did because I said I want to write a fantasy novel, but I didn't have any immediate, unlike with science fiction where I have a lot of ideas already, I didn't have anything immediate. And the thing that surrounds me all the time, whenever I look at the media, whenever I look at social media, whenever I look at the news, is extremism. And that and at the time I was on Twitter, so it was really bad. And that's what I said, what if I made a story with a character who feels that way, who feels like everywhere he looks, he's surrounded by extremists? Because that's the world we're in right now. That's the way it feels to me, is you can't go anywhere without, you know, Twitter is full of extremists. Social media in general is full of extremists. It seems like anymore with politics, if you're not on one side, you're evil. If you're not on the other side, you're evil. I got called some horrible stuff by association without the people knowing it that said it. And I'm just like, well, what if somebody, if I feel like that, other people are going to feel that way. Most people are fairly moderate in their beliefs. But more and more, I think people who feel like they're surrounded by crazy people and extremism, where everything is black and white, where you look to one side and you see one form of extremism, you look to another side, you see another form of extremism, you look another way, you see more extremism. So that's something that people are going to be able to associate with. So the fantasy novel, particularly the first one, but moving up forward, because it is a series, it's about someone, it's about a lot of things, but at its core is a character driven to want a better world, who feels like the world he's in is broken, and that everywhere he looks there are extremes. And he is going to take this journey of trying to open people's eyes to that. And he's not perfect by any stretch. And, you'll see his views change over time. And it's not about any existing politics. I'll say that now. This is not about what's directly about anything going on in our world. But it's about that feeling of like, why can't people just talk? Why can't people just figure things out? And that was the big inspiration for it. And the other inspiration for it was actually the Disney movie Pocahontas. I was rewatching that, and I realized, on the surface, that seems like it's anti-colonial, right? And in some ways it is. But what it's really about is how extremes of thought can corrupt societies and put them against each other, even though they could easily work together. If you look at the main characters, John Smith comes from super white England, colonial England. Pocahontas obviously is Native American. And they're the only two people not in conflict in the movie. They have their disagreements, but in general, they're able to work it out. But everybody around them feels completely differently. The colonials from England view the Native Americans as ruthless, murdering savages. The Native Americans view, not by accident, the English colonials as ruthless, murdering savages. And it's in the song, Savages, where you have both sides marching to war, one against the other, and they're both singing the same song with somewhat different lyrics, but both arriving at the same idea that the other side is inherently, fundamentally, and completely evil, and has to be not defeated but destroyed. And those were the two things that really pushed me on this novel, is feeling like there's just extremism everywhere, and feeling like that, and watching Pocahontas and seeing that played out in a movie form. So that's really the heart of this fantasy novel. Is yes, the main character is a noble. He's in line to succeed his father to become the king of their kingdom. But his father is an extreme patriarch. He has assaulted and enslaved most of a tribal civilization. He has ruthlessly corrupted and expanded his own government to ensure that his son succeeds him in a system that was supposed to be electoral. To the north, you have the tribes of the Hydroxy, who are the victims of his father, who are the remaining free tribes are led by a woman who is an extreme matriarch, and who sees their kingdom, the Cyril Commonwealth, as needing to be destroyed. And to the east, you have another kingdom with its own sense of extremism. And so every faction is intentionally designed to, in some way, directly conflict with a neighbor, or multiple neighbors if they have more than one, so that each kingdom or tribal group on its own is suffering in some way and has neighbors, but they are fundamentally opposed to those neighbors on some level. Usually as direct polar opposite in one distinct aspect. And if you look at the tribes of the Hydroxy versus the Cyril Commonwealth, the Cyril Commonwealth is patriarchal. It has it's actually the remnants of an old religion that is based on a distinct pantheon. whereas the Hydroxy do not worship gods at all. The Cyril Commonwealth builds large towns and cities. It builds castles and fortifications. It controls rivers and waterways and tries to bend nature to its will. The Hydroxy live with nature and along with nature. They do not build fortifications. They do not build settlements. They migrate and are highly matriarchal. So all of that's done for a reason, and it's all done because it feels like, to me, that when I look around, I see a lot of extremism, and it's not just on one side, and it's not just even in politics. And I think that's something most people see. But I take very good care not to put anything distinctly modern in it. Not just because it's fantasy, but because I don't want to put my politics into it. I just want to kind of approach this concept. So I'm doing pretty well on drafting the first draft of the first novel. It's going pretty well, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and hopefully once it is eventually out in the public after no doubt a long series of revisions, people will enjoy it. But that's my inspiration for it. That's where it comes from, and just thought it would be interesting to share it with people. So if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time.